Picture your ancestor, no name, no shoes, no fire yet, just a guy crouching in the grass somewhere in East Africa, scanning the dark. And every month, without fail, that sky lit up like someone flipped a switch, the whole savanna glowing, and something in his gut told him that was bad. He was right. And the reason why is stranger and more grounded in real science than you probably think. Here's what this video is about. The full moon was genuinely dangerous for ancient humans, not because of magic, not because of mystical forces, but because of basic ecology. The conventional story is that lunar fear was primitive superstition, ignorant people spooked by a pretty light. But that's wrong, and researchers have been quietly proving it for decades. What we're actually looking at is a survival instinct so powerful it got baked into our folklore, our language, and weirdly, even our sleep schedules. We're going to go through exactly how that worked, and the last piece of this is the one almost nobody connects. The thing that explains where werewolves, lunar madness, and the word lunatic actually came from. Stick with me on that. Let's start with the predators, because this is where the story gets interesting fast. Nocturnal carnivores are widely believed to have played an important role in human evolution, driving the need for nighttime shelter, the control of fire, and our innate fear of darkness. That's not a folktale, that's the scientific framing, and when you look at the data on how those predators actually behaved around the lunar cycle, the picture gets very specific. Lions are more successful at hunting when the cover of darkness allows them to surprise their prey. In wildlife reserves like the Serengeti, lions feed best during moonless nights. So the full moon, counterintuitively, is not when lions are most dangerous. It's actually the week after the full moon when things get ugly. In rural areas where lions rely on humans as food, hungry lions catch up on missed meals after a week of brightly lit nights. Lions are hungriest just after the full moon because the abundance of light just before and during the full moon limits their ability to hunt successfully. So what your ancestor was actually experiencing during that bright glowing night was the calm before the storm. A week of reduced lion kills, followed by a wave of hungry predators ready to make up for lost time. An analysis on the largest dataset of lion attacks ever assembled found that African lions are as sensitive to moonlight when hunting humans as when hunting herbivores, and that lions are most dangerous to humans when the moon is faint or below the horizon. The full moon was the warning. The dark nights that followed were the danger. And it wasn't just lions. Increased moonlight can improve the hunting efficiency of both mammalian and non-mammalian predators, resulting in increased predation risk and reduced activity for prey species. Every creature in that ecosystem was reading the same light signal and adjusting. Moon phase can have the second largest effect after prey species on hunting success of predators. The whole food chain was reorganizing itself around that monthly light cycle, and your ancestor, sitting at the top of the menu for a lot of things back then, was caught right in the middle of it. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because the light didn't just affect the predators, it affected the prey too, meaning it affected your ancestor directly in a way that goes beyond just watch out for lions. During full moon periods, prey species reduce movement rates, shift activity periods, reduce food consumption, forage for short periods, spend more time in dense habitats compared to open habitats, and reduce the size of their foraging areas compared to new moon periods. Every prey animal in that landscape was doing the same thing, pulling back, hiding, going quiet, and ancient humans, who were also prey, were almost certainly doing the same thing. Think about what that actually means for a group of early humans. The full moon lit up the open ground. You were visible, any rival group could see you. Any predator with decent eyesight, and big cats have excellent night vision, could track your movement from a distance. Interactions between predictable fluctuations in nighttime luminosity and the underlying risk-resource landscape shaped herbivore distribution, herding propensity, and the incidence of relaxed behaviors. Herding propensity, that's the tendency to bunch together for safety, which is exactly what you'd expect from a group of early humans who suddenly felt exposed under a bright sky. So behavior shifted, you stayed closer to camp, you moved in tighter groups, you kept the fire burning. The full moon wasn't just a pretty sight, it was a monthly signal to tighten up and stay alert. And that brings us to the piece of this that I promised at the start, because this is the one that really ties it all together. The full moon was messing with their sleep, and modern research has confirmed that it's still messing with yours. A study co-authored by Yale anthropologists found that lunar phases affect people's sleep schedules. Humans tend to stay up later and sleep less on evenings preceding a full moon when moonlight is brightest in the early night, possibly a vestige from a time when nomadic ancestors had to take advantage of those extra minutes of light. And the really striking part of that study is who they tested. Researchers were struck by the similarity between college students living in a brightly lit American city and rural indigenous communities with little artificial light. It suggests that sleep changes across the moon cycle may still exist in modern cities where light pollution is brighter than the most intense moonlight. That's not a cultural thing. That's not a belief system. That's a biological pattern that survived tens of thousands of years and is still running in the background of your nervous system right now. Perhaps ancient human hunter-gatherers evolved an as-yet unknown way to sense the lunar cycle to stay alert and active right before the full moon, when they'd have more light during the first half of the night for attaining resources or social activities. So picture what that looked like around a campfire 50,000 years ago. The moon is full, nobody is sleeping well, everyone is a little more awake, a little more on edge, a little more reactive. The group is restless, and if anything strange did happen that night, a sound in the darkness, an animal at the edge of camp, someone acting erratic from exhaustion, it happened against a backdrop of a full, glowing moon that the entire group was already hyper-aware of. That memory stuck, and it got passed down. The Latin name for the moon, lunar, is the root of modern words like lunacy, lunatic, and even loon, as in crazy as a loon. The idea that the moon impacts certain aspects of physical and mental health can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome and is well documented in the writings of classical authors like Aristotle. These weren't random superstitions invented by people who didn't know better. They were the cultural residue of a real pattern. People who stayed up too late, acted restless, seemed agitated, made poor decisions, and it kept happening around the same phase of the moon, month after month, generation after generation. The werewolf myth, the lunar madness stories, the idea that a full moon brings out something dangerous and unpredictable, all of it traces back to this. Not magic, not mysticism, a genuine ecological reality that ancient humans lived through every single month, encoded into stories because stories were how they warned each other. Belief in the moon's influence on human sickness and health is ancient and widespread, from early folklore and medicine through to contemporary accounts of full moons and a rise in violent crime. We've spent centuries dismissing that as primitive thinking, but the dismissal was the mistake. The fear was real, the danger was real, the biology is still real. We just forgot what we were actually afraid of. So here's where we landed. The full moon reorganized the entire predator-prey landscape around your ancestors, made them more visible and more vulnerable, disrupted their sleep in ways we can still measure today, and generated a level of collective restlessness that got written into folklore as madness and monsters. None of that is mythology. All of it has data behind it. If this kind of deep history, why do humans do that content is your thing, drop a comment. I'm genuinely curious whether you want more on the evolutionary roots of fear, or whether we should go further back and look at what other ancient threats are still quietly running your behavior today. There's a video on that already sitting on this channel, and it connects directly to what we just covered here. Go watch that next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because this is exactly the kind of thing we do here, and there's a lot more of it coming.